When I was imprisoned, a young lady who is now the principal of a middle university in South Africa came to see me, and she did not beat about the bush. She said that if her father were still alive, he would have been 70. And because I was also 70 at the time, she came to see what a man of 70 looks like. Now that I am 80, I reflect on that meeting and the strange, subtle telephone call I received later. I asked, "To whom am I speaking?" And she simply replied, "You are speaking to me?" I insisted on knowing her name, and she shot back, "Who are you to ask for my name? What's your name?" I told her that I would share my name as soon as she told me hers. As we argued about who should reveal their name first, she became defensive and said I seemed to be a backward person and asked if I had passed my matric. In our country, the matriculation certificate is a critical university entrance exam. I replied, "That's a helpful question, young lady. If the qualification to speak with you is to have passed matric, I might just study hard and pass it so I can be in your class." She responded with mockery and scorn, "You will never be in my class," and hung up the phone.
Centers that aim to assess the social, political, and economic realities of the continent. These centers do not only enrich the academic world, but strengthen African intellectual capacity to lead its own regeneration. This collaboration between African institutions and global centers of excellence is not just a noble idea, it is a necessity. It fosters self-determination and ensures that Africans take ownership of their stories, solutions, and futures. I am confident that such cooperation will also enrich your own understanding of Africa, helping all of us to grasp that our world is interlinked and that progress in one part strengthens the whole. Let us always remember that transformation does not come from power or position alone. It is born from the consistent choice to rise, to learn, to engage in the struggle of growth and truth. Whether one begins behind prison bars or under the shadow of oppression, whether mocked or dismissed, whether facing a future that seems uncertain, the human spirit, if it holds fast to integrity and perseverance, can triumph. So to that young lady, wherever she may be, and to every person who has ever doubted themselves or been doubted by others, I say, do not let the world define your worth. Let your work, your dignity, and your unwavering spirit be the proof of who you are. We walk this long road, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come. In the pursuit of justice, dignity, education, and equality, we find the true meaning of freedom, not as a gift handed down, but as a legacy we build, step by step, together. That is the future we must all fight for. That is the dream we must keep alive.
Suffers from diseases that could easily be prevented or lacks access to education and basic dignity. For men, women, and children who carry the burden of poverty, for those who suffer in ignorance or face preventable sickness, mere words about democracy and liberty will never suffice. They need meaningful change. If we fail to recognize and address these disparities, then we risk undermining the very values we strive to uphold. Therefore, our duty is not only national but global, to help build a world where there is greater equality not just among nations, but among citizens within each nation. The divide between the developed and developing world, between the North and the South, reveals itself starkly not only in economic terms, but in the availability and distribution of educational and intellectual resources. South Africa and the United States, in the past 4 years, have built a bond founded on mutual respect and partnership, each respecting the sovereignty of the other, yet coming together to share knowledge and work in cooperation. Many South African scholars have studied in the United States and returned empowered to address the unique problems of our nation. That exchange of knowledge, that commitment to shared solutions, is a light for the world to follow. That is why we are so encouraged by the establishment of research centers focused on Africa. This century closes, a century into which we place such great hopes for human progress. that our world is still plagued by profound disparities between the rich and the poor, both within countries and across different regions of the world. While some individuals may reach the restful part of their long walk in life, humanity's journey toward true equality and liberty is far from over. The road remains long, but we must continue to walk it. The significance of this esteemed institution does not lie merely in its academic standards or reputation, but also in its global presence and the universal spirit it represents. It is a beacon of learning and humanity that gathers the minds of the world, creating a shared space where thought, research, and action meet. To become part of such an alumni body is to be reminded that we all belong to a single human family, and the challenges we face must be met collectively. The greatest challenge our globalized world faces today is to eliminate the inequality that separates people across continents, races, and economic classes. We are indeed witnessing the spread of democratic governance in many parts of the world, and we must celebrate that. But we must also understand that democracy without the improvement of people's material conditions rings hollow. Freedom cannot mean much to someone who still goes to bed hungry. How I wish she were here today, because now I have passed my matric and more. I have accomplished far beyond what she may have expected, and that is the journey of life, the journey of transformation and dignity, the climb from being seen as inferior to standing as a symbol of perseverance, growth, and ultimate triumph. This story is not just about personal achievement, but about the power of belief, resilience, and refusing to be limited by others' expectations. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this may very well be our last official visit to the United States before I retire from office next year. There could not be a more profound or emotional beginning to this visit than to be honored by one of the great educational institutions of this nation and indeed the world. In these later years of a life devoted to the pursuit of equality and justice, we look upon our country with pride. Today, our people, regardless of race, gender, or creed, share equal political rights and opportunities for development. But we do so with deep gratitude to the millions around the globe who stood with us, those who through moral and material support believed in freedom and justice for all. The people of South Africa would not have seen the light of democracy without the relentless support of justice-loving citizens from every corner of the world. At the same time, we must remember